Hey everybody, Greg Miller, SFAVolleyBlog.net, and your voice of Lady Jack Volleyball. Get a chance to talk to Coach Debbie Humphreys on not quite the eve of the scrimmage, but getting closer. I don't know how she feels about how all this practice is building up into time to actually scrap with somebody else, but we get a chance to talk a little bit today. So Debbie, as always, thanks for the first chat of the year. And want to ask you, at the end of last year, a lot was made about RPI ranking and us being able to get an at-large bid, and people were talking about RPI cuts for the NCAA tournament and things like that. And a lot of times people ask me things like, well, SFA, just, schedule harder, just, boost that RPI, all those things. It's not that easy. You can't just go out and schedule whoever you want. So talk to me about the process of how you and your coaching staff build a schedule, kind of illustrate a little bit how a schedule is built at this level.
Well, I tell you, scheduling is my least favorite thing that I do all season long. It's a very challenging process. One, you have to have a good balance of home games and away games. You can't be on the road all the time. You have to manage your schedule within a budget, so there's a lot of factors there. And you also have to manage matches. I personally like a ton of matches where I'll call it a 50-50 match, where if we show up and play well, we're gonna have a chance, but if we don't, we're gonna lose. I wanna be in those kind of situations because I think that is what helps grow our team and get them ready for conference play. But you talk about the RPI. We have had good RPIs in the past, better than teams that got in ahead of us. So it's not as much, they look at RPI, but it's the wins, it's the matches against nationally ranked teams. That's where the issue always comes in. And we can't go out and just play an entire preseason schedule that is nothing but nationally ranked teams. One, we couldn't do it, and two, that doesn't make sense for us. So it's, you're trying to find teams. We want to stay in the top 150 with all of our matches as much as we possibly can. We'd love a ton between 50 and 100, even 30 and 100. And we try to find ways to get those matches, but sometimes, to get home matches, you got to be willing to return to people, and you don't really get to control who they're bringing into their tournament. And it's mostly tournaments for us. We don't have a lot of just single non-conference matches. So it's a challenging process, and one that I don't think there'll ever be a perfect answer for.
You talk about challenges, and with especially this young team, what is the biggest challenge you've faced here as the team has reported in workouts with such a young team?
Yeah, the biggest thing, it's like, oh my gosh, we have to teach them literally everything you're used to having your upperclassmen to help you with that process. And that's probably more so than the fact that there's 9 freshmen. It's the fact that there are only 3 upperclassmen, and they're doing a great job, but there's only so much that they can do. So it's just taking time, and I'm not the most patient person on the planet, so I would like it to happen much quicker than it is. But we have seen tremendous progress over the last couple weeks.
With a team this young, clearly these first few weeks, experimenting, mixing, matching, letting different combinations of players experience being on the floor together. Talk a little bit, though, about your and your staff's communication style, especially early in the season as you make those changes. For a young player, they're on the floor one week, you want to see something different. They're not on the floor the next week, they're back on. Obviously, a veteran is used to that communication, but a new player who has not played at this level and is dealing with you and your staff for the first time, what strategies do you use to communicate to them behind the scenes, them mixing and matching and maybe seeing court time and then maybe not?
Yeah, we have talked to them as a group on multiple occasions about that everybody's not going to play. And honestly, we don't know who. We've also talked to them about how they're going to share a position with another freshman at their same position. So That stuff will all work itself out as we get into competition. Right now, they can't fully understand that or fully know what to expect. So those conversations, the real nitpicky ones, it's not time for those yet. It's more of a broader sense right now because we don't know which one's going to really show up on game day. Is it going to be a consistent person, or are these two going to bounce back and forth? And we've had seasons like that where I remember a season in particular where our L1 was a revolving door, and we just knew that on any given night, one of the two or three of them was going to get the job done. We just didn't know which one. But the one thing we have made clear with this team is that, yes, we're young, there's no doubt about it, but youth is not an excuse. We will not use that as an excuse for anything. The expectation bar is still high for us.
And then shifting to the veterans, I think one thing that fans sometimes don't think about as we go from season to season is all the work that happens in the spring and all of the work that the players, the returning players, put in during their summer workout. So as you think about the end of last year compared to right now, thinking about the veterans, what are some of the improvements among the veterans that stood out most to you as you began fall workouts?
Yeah, certainly the biggest changes that you see are in those sophomores who had never had a spring season before. And they grew so much over the spring that they are walking in the door like veterans now, where just a year ago they were the newbies and they knew nothing. So they're doing a really good job with that. And, you know, like Caroline, not just the passing piece, but now really starting to defend at a high level, starting to attack at a high level. They've all just jumped their game. And, you know, Ty, who played last year, but we didn't count on her to, we knew she would be a steady piece. But now we're really looking for her to go get a significant number of kills for us, and she's playing really smart. And same thing with Kai. Just they've all gotten so much smarter in that 1 year.
And last, Coach, one of the things that you are particularly adept at is deferring your own accolades, which clearly are outstanding. You're quick to mention people around you, and you have some new people around you, and they're on the perimeter. Some of us that are support staff, you have people like Kaylee, or trainer, who's back. You have Daniel, who practices with you. You have people like Hunter and Sarah and Amanda, the people that are behind the scenes, and they've got some experience. You've got Britt and I that you know well. But you've got some new grad. You've got a new grad assistant this year in Mac, and you've got new managers. Talk about the value that people like that bring day to day to making this engine go.
Yeah, actually Max is a full-time assistant for us, so he's a new piece, which we're super excited. He joined us in the spring as a GA and now has moved into a full-time role. So he is new, at least it's a first fall with him. But he's new. Having Maddie and Evan back certainly is great. We have new managers who are doing a phenomenal job. I mean, they're very volleyball savvy. They're good with stats and just anything behind the scenes that we need done. There is a lot of new. There is a lot of new, but I would say there's a lot of positive new as well. So, we're in a really good place with regard to our support staff, and we're all on the same page, and we've been able to get on the same page over the summer, which the summer was a very, very good time for us to be able to do that. And now it's like, all right, let's go. And we each have our lane, they all have their lane of responsibility, and everybody's taking that and running with it. But, I couldn't ask for a better group to do this with.
About ready to roll the ball out there and see what we can do Saturday in the scrimmage. Debbie Humphreys, glad to sit down and have our first chat of the year. We'll have many more. SFA Volley Blog got you covered all season long. Radio on the road, and then Brittany, as always, will be back in here on ESPN Plus. Our match against High Point will be our first ESPN Plus broadcast this year, so check out that schedule and mark that down. Thanks, Debbie, for sitting and having a chat.
You bet. Appreciate it.